know Jon,
Okay.
so I'm not going to really introduce him, but just to say that he is the genuine article. He's a trained and gifted shaman in the tradition of the Q'ero Indians of South America and Peru. So it's always great to have him at the time of the solstices and the equinoxes, and tonight he's going to be talking about shining the light in dark places and leading us in a solstice ceremony and celebration, and also a journey. So welcome, Jon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So nice to be here with you all. Let's see. How about let's just open space together. We'll do it more silent. I'd like to do it silent. Some of you have heard me open the space. We'll do each direction, and more want to internalize it and feel it. So instead of me using the usual words, we'll go south, and blow and internalize the prayers of gratitude for each of the directions, the earth and the heavens, and then we'll get started. Okay? So we'll face south. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. How's everybody feeling? How y'all feeling deep inside? Feeling okay? I want to really emphasize in this talk. There's a few interesting things to cover, and then we can do some work around it. And I wanted to emphasize the breath. The breath is key to everything. It turns out in most languages, actually, most of the ancient languages, Aramaic, Sanskrit, Hebrew, all these languages, these living languages, these vibrational languages, what's considered spirit or Holy Spirit, is they're often referring to breath. So, you've got the pranic traditions of the Hindu traditions. You've got so many traditions. And in the Q'ero traditions, it's the kamayok, the power of the breath. We use breath, as I just did, to spread the plant medicines, to clear the space, It's connected to light. It's connected to the combustion processes as the oxygen gets into your body. It's everything. It's everything. In fact, I'm going to be reading a couple of interesting prayers that I believe come from one of the greatest shamans to ever walk the planet 2,000 years ago. Comes from the original Aramaic, and it's really, really powerful and beautiful. And one of the main teachings, the first teaching of this great being, is breath. It's all about breath. So we'll do that. But I want to start first with, I took little notes this time. So we talk about the light and the dark, the light and the dark. I like to think of it very, very practically, because shamanism is a very practical, down to earth. How do you apply it? How can we really use this? Not just knowledge and information, but I want to, in esoteric teachings, but I really want to emphasize the practical use of these tools, especially at this time, to that you can really get benefit from it immediately in your life. And so when we speak of the light and the dark, obviously in the northern hemisphere at this time, the sun is at its lowest and it's about to turn back, and so the time of darkness in a 24-hour period is greater than the light, and that has implications externally but also internally, because they're all connected together. And so it's an opportunity, as Emery said, and we were talking about tonight, to bring light to that which we have kept in the dark internally. So that which is unconscious to us, Or we've gotten so used to pushing it down and not looking at it. I don't like that part of myself. I don't like that thing that I did or that thing that happened. The shame is the main word to go along with this. Anything that we feel ashamed of, anything we're afraid we're going to be judged for or persecuted for, we really don't want to look at it. We don't want to think about it. We try to forget. And we do pretty good at that, right? We can manage our lives pretty well, putting a lot of that stuff down. And it's not about sharing it with the external world. It's not about confessing so much to somebody else. That's not it. That doesn't, it's not it can help, but it would have to be in such a sacred, non-judging space, right? For you to even be able to go there and really, really look at it. So we're talking about really internal events, characteristics, anything that you ever felt somewhat ashamed of or self-judging of, or that you need to improve or get better. And so this is all about just looking at it. That's what we mean by shining the light in the dark places. It's not that big of a deal. It's acknowledging it and looking at it for once, for what it really is, and just allowing yourself to look at it. And then breathe through it. Because what happens when something shows up that we don't want to look at, whether it's internal thoughts and memories, or somebody who walks in the room that triggers us, that pushes our buttons, right? When that happens, the first thing we do, we hold our breath. We hold our breath. That's what's meant, by quote unquote enemy. It's not a person that's out to get you. It's the person that makes you stop breathing when you're in their presence. And the other thing that makes you stop breathing, of course, is shame. Let's say you were talking about somebody behind their back, and then all of a sudden they show up behind you, and right, you're like, oh, right? That's a good example. Whoops, I just blew it. I just made the biggest mistake, etc., right? There's an example, right? So the trick is, you just have to breathe, just like I just did. That's all you got to do. That's all you really got to do. Go, yep, I did that. And I'm just going to breathe. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to own it. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to judge it. Everybody does these things. They're not always bad. They're part of the theater. But the breathing is what keeps it from becoming an illness or an issue or something that troubles you for the rest of your life, and sometimes past lives even, right? And we hire shamans, or we do shamanic journeying, or we engage in processes if we have to, if we're not even aware, if we've buried it so deeply, we really can't even think of it. What did you do 10 years ago that you're still feeling bad about? I have no idea, right? So the shaman can journey, and in sessions we can bring those things up. But like I said, it has to be absolutely non-judging space, right? Because this is the whole point. In order to breathe through something and not let it stay hidden and buried, we really have to look at it with a non-judging eye. And so the whole story of Christmas and Santa Claus and all these things based upon the pagan traditions of this return of the solstice. I was just reading a beautiful article about it. It turns out from the Siberian people. There's a group that, of course, they're reindeer herders, and they're not there's shamanic traditions and beings. And there was these mushrooms, I forget the actual name, but you all know the ones, the red ones with the white spots, the very colorful mushrooms, and they come in other colors as well. And they would always grow under these evergreen trees. That's the only place they would grow. And the reindeer would love to eat them, and they would get a little trippy, and the shamans would observe this, and then if you ate one of these things raw, it would kill you. It was toxic, but if the reindeer ate it and then peed in the snow, the yellow snow, the reindeer would actually eat their own yellow snow for the same purpose, and then the shaman, of course, figured it out and went, maybe I should try some of that. And sure enough, they flew. It's flying. It's into an altered state from this hallucinogenic plant. And of course, we all know that in those altered states, whether they be through a plant like that or they be through drumming and rattling like we're going to do tonight, that you get tremendous insights. You can see things you normally wouldn't see. You can come back with gifts from the other worlds, the other dimensions, the other realms. And so these shamans would, and in order to eat these things as well without them killing you, you had to dry them first. So they would put them in the branches they'd pick them from under the tree, they'd put them in the branches of the tree. So now you've got this tree with the red and the yellow and sound familiar, right? And the shaman with the beard and the hair and the branches and all the get up would eat these things in the middle of the yurt with the fire. They'd go into their trance, they'd go and get wisdom for the village. Of course, the typical shamanic thing, we're here to help the village and get whatever wisdom or healing or whatever we can do. And then, of course, they would return through the hole in the yurt, the chimney, with the gifts from this journey. So that's it. That's your story of Santa Claus. That's where it comes from. It's a shamanic story at its core from Siberia. And
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all these stories they came, shamanism predates all the religions and everything. So they would take bits and pieces and turn them into their own traditions. And they saw the mushrooms as the quote unquote seed of these trees, but the trees didn't have seeds per se. Mm-hmm. So they were like a virgin seed. They were like born a virgin birth, so to speak. And so now you've got that story. So when it came time to tell the story of Jesus, of Yeshua, they would, they put all that together. They said, okay, let's have him. He wasn't really born anywhere near December 25th. Obviously, we know that. If he was born sometime in April or something, or I can't remember. But, they said we got to piece this story together with these ancient traditions so that it has more import and impact, which is not an uncommon thing, honestly, throughout any tradition. And so that's how they did it. It was like, we'll piece it together with the quote unquote pagan traditions or the shamanic traditions, and there you've got your wise being with the wise men and the stars that show up at this time of year, and how the sun returns and the sun rises, So anyway, so that's the basis of this time of year, and I wanted to share that because, again, it has everything to do with shining the light. And so I'm going to read you this, and I just want you to sort of take a few deep breaths and feel this beautiful prayer. It goes like this. Our one absolute eternal being, of which we are born forth from the realm of the all and the only. I empty within the ecstasy of your presence and the purity of your consciousness. Empower my creative expansion through your emergence from the unseen realms, as I realize our strength and will as one, on the manifest earth as in the unmanifest heavenly realms. Provide the nourishment of authentic insight and realization through me now and in every present moment. Release my hidden past as I cancel my past concern with others. Do not let me lose my true self in forgetfulness, but wholly release me from the errors of my perception. For the undivided whole is the absolute, the all and the only, and our power of shining magnificence. From cosmic gathering to cosmic gathering, from age to age, from moment to moment, from now to now. May these pure intentions be the rooted, fertile earth center from which all my actions flow. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. A couple of those pieces, right, that we're talking about today. Release my hidden past. Help me see that hidden past, that darkness. Help me see what I've buried and I don't want to look at, so that I can release it in myself and others, right? Great, beautiful work. Don't let me lose my true self in forgetfulness. Who am I really? Am I my story? Am I the thing that happened yesterday? Am I the interactions or am I part of the one, the all, the only being in the room? That which we know is God, Allah, Yahweh, all the 1,000 different names in different languages, right? But it's us, it's everything to shamans. So this is totally shamanic. There's no difference between this and all the teachings I've learned from my teachers. And this was translated by Dale Allen Hoffman, this amazing soul, this very amazing being that I've been studying lately, who's an Aramaic scholar who focuses his work on the original Aramaic texts of the stories of Yeshua ben Yosef, who we know as Jesus, right? And who's not really, that's not the right name, that's a different thing from Greek, Jesus, little Zeus. But this is more like this really great guy who was a really powerful healer and teacher who shared a lot of knowledge. And this what I just read is what we know as the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. It makes no sense, right? barely understood that growing up in fact, when I was a young teenager, I was reading some of the other Eastern traditions like Yogananda and stuff, and I was raised Catholic, so I said this prayer all the time, and it was like, what does this really mean? How does this make sense with everything else I'm studying? And I rewrote it myself in a way that made sense to me, that's not too different from this, right? It's not father, it's it's not kingdom, it's more queendom. It's actually in Aramaic a feminine term. So his work's amazing if you get a chance to look it up. He's got a new book out I just told Emery about called, what was that called, Emery?
I'll tell you in a second. John, I've got it right here.
Ancient Echoes of an Ancient
Dream.
Right. Echoes of an Ancient Dream. Toning. And when you say these prayers in the Aramaic language, it's actually like Sanskrit. You tone them. When Yeshua said, pray in this way, it wasn't read those words in English, right? They're from King James, which is all totally messed up. It was pray in this way, as in the toning that it comes across as. I can't even begin to do it, but he does it on these tapes, and it's just, I was crying when I heard him read this in Aramaic. It just, boom, it triggered it. Because these are universal. This is universal. So then I'm going to read you these other two pieces from this, and then we'll get on with the journey. But this was called, these are known in the religions as the Beatitudes, which is really attitudes for being, right? And this came from the Sermon on the Mount that Yeshua gave, and I'm going to just read the first two because it's very much about what we're doing tonight. And you may have heard of these. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for example, which doesn't make any sense. It was completely mistranslated. Okay? Here's what it really said. Divinely attuned and consciously ripe in this present moment are those who have their true home in the emptiness of the breath. For they shall realize the blissfully empowering presence of life itself. Just breathe. You breathe, you're present in the moment, you're ripe. Though you think fruit can only be ripe in one moment, right? Then it's overripe or it's underripe. So that's what blessed really means. Tuvehun in Aramaic was not blessed. It's divinely attuned and consciously ripe in the present moment are those who have their true home in the breath. Okay? Now this next one is key to this talk. Divinely attuned and consciously ripe in this present moment are those with the absolute willingness to experience and process through their intense emotional turmoil, confusion, and suffering. They shall be freed from the suffering as the root causes beneath their inner divisions return to wholeness. That's it. That's what it really, those are the real teachings, right? This is brilliant stuff. You know, when you strip away the right? You got to look at your inner turmoil. You got to look at your inner divisions. That whole thing, the only way, here's the deal right here. The only thing keeping us, this is me now, the only thing keeping us from manifesting is division, internal division. Doubt. So faith is not faith that something out here is going to answer our prayers as long as we do it right. Nothing to do with it. Faith actually means I don't have any doubt within inside myself that I am essentially worthy to receive what I'm asking for, and that I know what I'm asking for is what I want. Yeah, you get that? It's like, okay, I'm going to manifest this, and then the next thing you do is, well, should I? Or maybe there's something, maybe I should have asked for something else, or I wonder if it's, how am I going to get it? I wonder if I'm worthy of it, or I can, you know what I mean? All that internal doubt and division is the only thing that keeps us from being extremely powerful manifestors. You gotta know when you're asking, it's what I want and I can have it, I'm gonna get it, and I know it in its entirety. I can feel it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. So that's the whole purpose of this time, and I want to do a little journey in order to just practice taking a look at this stuff now and doing it, at least tonight, and then you can go home and you can do this all you want. I personally have gone through this process of the last 3 months in a huge way. I think I'm I can't help but thinking that it was when I started listening to this guy that my stuff started to come up, that I've been doing healing work for 30 years. I've been doing shamanic training and doing sessions for the 20 plus years. You know, it's like I've looked at my stuff, I've done my work, I've cleared it all out, and it's like, oh my God. I started having an actual physical condition that seemed like I was having a stroke or a heart attack or both, and I'm wearing a heart monitor now, and I'm getting tested by a neurologist. It's like, it's finally gone away in the last couple of weeks because I've been doing this, I believe, really deep looking at what have I rationalized, externalized, or ignored. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I've done that, but it's because they made me, or that's what I had to do, or you know what I mean, or I'm over it, I don't do that anymore, you know, these types of things. And it's like, oh, yeah, no, let's go look at it. Let's just look at it. Let's breathe into it. That's the key, is the breathing into it. I've never breathed into these pieces. And there's breathing in my session work, and I think that has a huge, you know, when I'm working with clients, I have them breathe with me, and I think that's a huge piece of what healing happens. But I've never sat alone and purposely brought up something uncomfortable and then just breathed. No thinking, no analyzing, no learning lessons, none of that. That's all ways of avoiding it. That's all ways of rationalizing or externalizing, or, you know what I mean? It's like all you have to do is breathe, shine the light on it and breathe. So that's what I want everybody to come away with at this talk. I feel like I finally kind of, after 53 years, figured out what this Winter Solstice is about. I feel like I finally, oh, that's it. Isn't that amazing? But it's just it's this simple. It's two things. Look at it and breathe. Look at it and breathe. Don't have to do anything with it. Don't have to confess it. Don't have to bring it out in the open. Don't have to go back necessarily and apologize to everybody you thought. Oh, no. Just get it out from in here. Is that cool? So you want to try that? Should we do a little instead of eating the little red mushrooms, I'll rattle and we'll and we'll fly in a more gentle way.
Those little mushrooms are fly agaricus?
Yeah, that's it, fly agaricus.
Actually, if you boil them, the tea is hallucinogenic.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I guess that would get the job done, wouldn't it? So.
But I didn't know that's where Christmas ornaments came from.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
That's the deal. That's the deal. Nobody's going to want to hear that anytime soon, I don't
I
think.
see how many people shoot me down on that story.
Right. Any questions about this verse before we do the little journey here? Any thoughts? Am I missing something? Do you have any other wisdom to share?
I mean, I hear what you're saying. So it's really a matter of just being in a quiet space. You're breathing, and just really, in essence, you're asking yourself to let something come up. And it doesn't have to. You don't even have to be thinking. It's just, I want the darkness to come up, and then you're breathing through something.
Yeah.
Is there more darkness? And breathe through.
Yeah. What am I not looking at? That's
What am I
the
not
darkness.
looking at?
We've turned it into something like the devil or evil. Again, in Aramaic, all those words have nothing to do with what people talk about today. Quite honestly, it's fascinating to listen to Dale Allen Hoffman describe it, because it's like, oh, that makes total sense. That's totally shamanic. All this other stuff has been completely off. Even in the Quran, even in the word jihad in Arabic, it's that process. It's look at your inner turmoil and work it through and heal it. That's what Muhammad said. He said a jihad is an inner battle that you have to finally finish. And he said, don't ever do an external jihad until you've done the internal jihad. The trick there being that if you've done the internal, there is no external. You don't have to go out and do the silly things that some of these folks are doing. You know what I mean? And it's the same, exactly the same in Christianity. It's exactly the same in Hindu and Buddhist. It's all the same. In shamanism, it's all the same. Work the internal. Bring it up. Obviously so there's, you can find your own bits and pieces, yeah, I've never really looked and breathed through that. I know it was kind of there, but I've kind of thought I'd worked with it. Or you could wait till somebody pushes your buttons, right? As Dale Allen says, if they're pushing your buttons, they're still your buttons. So, you can wait till someone kind of triggers that, the breath and the, and let that be an opportunity to have nothing to do with that person. It really has nothing to do with them and what they're doing or not doing. It has everything to do with the button, the deep dark piece that they somehow triggered because maybe it's shadow work. It's just like the shadow work of embracing somebody's behavior that's bothering you. You got to look and find it in you and then love it and embrace it. That's the process. It's the same thing, except that's kind of a process of looking at it, thinking about it. Yeah, I do that sometimes, and it's okay. I love it. And this is just more breathe. Just breathe into it. Breathe through it. And it will release. So you can use people that trigger you. You can bring it up yourselves. You can hire a shaman or do a shamanic journey or any of these things you might do. Ayahuasca in the jungle, whatever you're doing. And but you breathe. You simply breathe. And even in those ayahuasca journeys that we've done in the jungle, the shaman has always said it. He goes, if something's triggering you, if you're having a vision that's some deep dark thing within you, it's all in your own psyche. Breathe it out. That's what he said. Breathe it away. So breath and light. Breath and light is all you need. Breath and looking at it. So let's do that. Let's try that today. And the journey should help. So I'm going to rattle and I'll guide you to the beginning of it, and then we'll let you do the personal breathing. And I like that breath of just let it fall out so it feels like a release. There's no resistance, there's no or slowing down of it, just let it fall out. Okay? So let's try this now. Close your eyes. And I want you to start from behind your eyes. And this time first I want you to move upward. Let's fly out of our bodies, up the cord of light that connects us to the worlds of spirit, to the source. The one, the all, the only absolute being that we source ourselves from. The pure light. I want you to journey, fly up out of your body into this all-inclusive one light. And just bathe there for a while. Reacquaint yourself with the eternal being that you are. There is nothing to gain or lose in this. It's just falling back into the one that is your essential self. Breathe in that light. Breathe in that light so that you could bring it back, a bright light. The light of the candle, of fire, of spirit, the one. And now come back down the cord of light. With that bright light, come back down into your body and into the center of your heart. And that bright light lights up your heart. It lights up all within the energy body, the chakras, and your physical body. It's all lit up. It lights up your entire brain, your entire psyche. It shines the light into every nook and cranny, every crevice. As if it's this elaborate system of caves. And there are skeletons and there are treasures in some of the alcoves of the cave. There's work you've done. There's things you know about. Shine the light there and breathe into any of that and all of that. If there's any rooms that are still dark, shine the light in there and just breathe. These are things from the past. from your past that you'd rather not look at, things even from the present that you'd rather not look at. Just shine the light, look at it, and breathe. Breathe through it. And guess what? Some of those walls in those caverns aren't really walls. They're doors. They're doors that have been carefully concealed. Find one of those doors. Find the wall. Go to the wall that you know behind which is hidden something that you had no idea was something that you were pushing down. And break down that wall. Break it open, shine the light in there, and just breathe at whatever's in there. Breathe through it. It's not a big deal. It's just another piece of human drama that we've all lived through. We've all experienced it. We've all done it. We've all had it done to us. We've all tried to protect others from having it done to them. And all we have to do is breathe and look at it. And know that at any time in the future that these things become revealed to you internally or externally, and your buttons are pushed, all you have to do is breathe, look at it, shine the light on it. Nothing else to do. And now come back up behind your eyes. Take another trip up the column of light to the source, looking down upon all the lights, all the souls who have decided to light up those dark places, and just look at it and breathe. Because you doing this will have inspired many more to do it that you're not even aware of. When any single person brings the light to these dark places, it makes it easier for the next to do the same. And come back down behind your eyes. Back to the theater of the here and now. thank you very much for doing this. It's what this time is all about. It's what the stories are all about. It's not about someone else doing it. It's about you have done it. And in that way, you have connected and remembered your true self, never to be forgotten, right? And if it is, doesn't matter, you breathe the next time again. How are you feeling? Everybody feel okay? Feeling good and present in the body?
Still coming back.
Still coming back. Okay, good. That's rub your hands together, feel your face, feel your body. So I think it'll be great through this season to just, when you see everything going on, just know that it all comes down to this simple thing. This is it. This is what it was all about. It's all internal. The gifts are internal. The light. Yeah. So thank you. I think that will do it. How about I do the Caro tradition and little clearing of each of you. Just close your eyes and breathe. It's my acknowledgement of your greatness and your wholeness, your holiness. Because when we are not divided, when there's not light and dark, there's just whole, just one. Holy. So now we can walk out of here as holy beings. We are the spirits of Christmas. Right.
Interesting story of the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Glad I could share it. I'm just grateful to run into these things.
What was his name? Allen Hoffman. What was the first name?
Dale Allen Hoffman. I highly recommend you order his book from Emory. I mean, it's just brilliant work. He's a very clear, very wonderful. I feel like, he started a lot of this teaching and everything like 9-10 years ago. And, it's kind of normal for a lot of us to feel like we, shamans, we see things a lot ahead of time before the village is ready to see it or do anything with it, so to speak. And this is like a perfect example of that, because it's like I never even heard of him. All of a sudden I hear about him. I'm listening to his stuff and I'm going, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing I've heard in 30 plus years of studying, everything, and just the way he's presenting it and what he's doing with it. It's, and how it matches every other tradition I've ever studied, and the shamanic traditions. So it's like, now's the time. I feel very strongly about that. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I have, if you do listen, or you even want to, or bother. But yeah, good stuff. So, all right.
Grateful, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks. Keep still. Sure, I am back.
Or not.
Merry birth of your pure light,
Oh,
of your crystal nature,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, the whole
Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
I know.